Dynamic disks provide features that basic disks do not. You can create volumes that span multiple disks and fault-tolerant volumes. Dynamic disks can also use the MBR or GPT partition styles. Dynamic disks use a database to track information about volumes on dynamic disks in the computer. Each dynamic disk in a computer stores a replica of the dynamic disk database, which is useful if you experience a corrupted dynamic disk database. Windows can repair the corrupted dynamic disk by using the database on another dynamic disk. The partition style of the disk determines the location of the database. On MBR partitions, Windows stores the database in the last 1 MB of the disk. On GPT partitions, the database is located in a 1 MB reserved and hidden partition. You can perform the following operations only on dynamic disks. Create and delete spanned, striped, and mirrored volumes. Extend a simple volume to a non-contiguous space or spanned volume. Remove a mirror from a mirrored volume. Repair mirrored volumes. Reactivate a missing or offline disk. You should be aware of the following considerations regarding dynamic disks. You cannot convert a basic disk to a dynamic disk unless there is at least 1 MB of unused space on the disk because of the Logical Disk Manager database. You cannot convert a dynamic disk to a basic disk without losing data. You need to delete all dynamic volumes on the disk. Disk management automatically converts the disk to basic when you delete the last volume. You cannot use Windows PowerShell to manage dynamic disks. The storage CMDlets will not recognize dynamic disks. Convert a basic disk to a dynamic disk. You use the Disk Management snap-in to convert a basic disk to a dynamic disk. Right-click the disk you want to convert and select Convert to Dynamic Disk. Note, in a multi-boot scenario, if you are in one operating system and you convert a basic MBR disk that contains an alternate operating system to a dynamic MBR disk, you will not be able to start in the alternate operating system. Basic disks versus dynamic disks. The following table describes the differences between using basic and dynamic disks. Disk type, advantages, disadvantages. Basic disks, compatible with most operating systems. Convert to dynamic disk without data loss. Only uses contiguous space on one disk. Limited number of partitions on MBR disks. Dynamic disks, multi-disk volumes, fault-tolerant volumes, 1024 volumes on MBR disks. Only compatible with Windows. Does not convert to basic disk without data loss. Explore disk management tools. You can use the following tools to manage Windows disks and the volumes or partitions that they contain. Disk management, a GUI for managing disks and volumes, both basic and dynamic, locally or on remote computers. After you select the remote computer that you want to manage, you can perform the same tasks that you typically perform when you use a local computer. DiskPart, a scriptable command line tool with functionality that is similar to disk management, which also includes advanced features. You can create scripts to automate disk-related tasks, such as creating volumes or converting disks to dynamic. This tool always runs locally. Windows PowerShell 5.0. Windows PowerShell is a scripting language that accomplishes many tasks in the Windows environment. Starting with Windows PowerShell 3.0, disk management commands are available for use as standalone commands or as part of a script. Note: Windows doesn't support remote connections in workgroups. Both the local computer and the remote computer must be in a domain for you to use disk management to manage a disk remotely. Note: don't use disk editing tools such as dskprobe.exe to make changes to GPT disks. Any change that you make renders the checksums invalid, which might cause the disk to become inaccessible. To make changes to GPT disks, use Windows PowerShell, DiskPart, or Disk Management. With either tool, you can initialize disks, create volumes, and format a volume file system. Additional common tasks include moving disks between computers, changing disks between basic and dynamic types, and changing the partition style of disks. You can perform most disk-related tasks without restarting a system or interrupting users, and most configuration changes take effect immediately. Disk management. By using the Disk Management snap-in to the Microsoft Management Console, MMC, administrators can manage volumes quickly and confirm the health of each volume. Disk management in Windows provides the same features as previous versions, including simpler partition creation. When you right-click a volume, you can choose whether to create a basic, spanned, or striped partition directly from the menu. Disk conversion options. When you try to extend a partition to a non-contiguous area on the same or another disk, Disk Management prompts you to convert the disk to dynamic. You also can convert basic disks to dynamic disks without incurring data loss. However, converting a dynamic disk to basic is not possible without first deleting all of the volumes. Extend and shrink partitions. You can extend and shrink partitions from Disk Management. To open Disk Management, use this procedure. Select Start and type disk. This will display the search window. Continue typing diskmgmt.msc in the search box, and then select diskmgmt.msc in the results list. Diskpart. By using Diskpart, you can manage fixed disks and volumes by using scripts or direct input from the command line. At the command prompt, type Diskpart, and then enter commands at the Diskpart command prompt. The following are common Diskpart actions. To view a list of Diskpart commands, at the Diskpart command prompt, type commands. To create a Diskpart script in a text file and then run the script, type a script similar to Diskpart stestscript.txt. To create a log file of the Diskpart session, type diskpart.stestscript.txt logfile.txt. The following table shows several Diskpart commands that you will use frequently. Command. Description. List disk. Displays a list of disks and related information, including disk size, the amount of available free space on the disks, whether the disks are basic or dynamic, and whether the disks use the MBR or GPT partition style. The disks marked with an asterisk are the ones against which the commands will execute. Select disk number. Selects the specified disk, where disk number is the disk number, and gives it focus. Converts a disk with the MBR partition style to a basic disk with the GPT partition style. Windows PowerShell. Prior to Windows PowerShell 3.0, if you wanted to script disk management tasks, you had to make calls to Windows Management Instrumentation, WMI objects, or include Diskpart in your scripts. Windows PowerShell 3.0 and newer versions include commands for natively managing disks. The following table details some Windows PowerShell commands. Command. Description. Additional parameters. Get disk. Returns information on all disks or disks that you specify with a filter. Friendly name returns information about disks that have the specified friendly name. Number returns information about a specific disk. Clear disk. Cleans a disk by removing all partition information. Zero out entire disk writes zeros to all sectors of a disk. Initialize disk. Prepares a disk for use. By default, it creates a GPT partition. Partition style specifies the type of the partition, either MBR or GPT. Set disk. Updates a physical disk with the specified attributes. Partition style specifies the type of the partition, either MBR or GPT. You can use this to convert a disk that was initialized previously. Get volume. Returns information on all file systems volumes, or those volumes that you specify with a filter. Drive letter char gets information about the specified drive letter. File system label string returns information on the NTFS file systems or resilient file system, REFS volumes.